Welcome to Softly Curious. Not to an explanation and not to a conclusion, but to a long, quiet beginning. This is not a place where gold is introduced as something valuable or rare or desired. Those ideas arrive much later. For now, gold is allowed to exist without purpose, without meaning, without anyone watching. It belongs to a time before interest, before measurement, before the human instinct to assign importance. Tonight, gold is simply matter, moving slowly through a universe that does not hurry. Gold begins far from Earth, far from anything that could recognize it. In the earliest universe, there was no gold at all. After the first expansion, space cooled just enough for the simplest elements to form. Hydrogen appeared first, then helium, filling the cosmos with light atoms and long emptiness. For hundreds of millions of years, nothing heavier could exist. The universe needed time, pressure, and collapse. It needed stars to live full lives and then end them violently. Inside stars, elements are built layer by layer. Hydrogen fuses into helium, helium into carbon, carbon into heavier forms. But this process has limits. Even the largest stars cannot quietly produce gold through ordinary fusion. Gold requires an excess of neutrons and an intensity that stable stars never reach. It forms only when matter is compressed beyond its usual boundaries, when atomic nuclei are forced to absorb particles faster than they can decay. This happens during rare cosmic events when neutron stars collide. Neutron stars are already extreme objects. They are the remnants of massive stars that collapsed under their own gravity, crushing protons and electrons together until matter became almost entirely neutrons. A teaspoon of this material would weigh billions of tons. When two such objects orbit each other, they lose energy slowly, spiraling inward over millions or even billions of years. The approach is silent, gradual, almost patient. Then suddenly, it is not. When neutron stars collide, the event releases enormous energy in a fraction of a second. Space itself ripples. Gravity becomes a wave. Matter is torn apart and reassembled under conditions that rarely exist anywhere else. In these moments, gold is created. Not gently, not deliberately, but as a byproduct of chaos. Atomic nuclei capture neutrons rapidly, building heavier and heavier elements before the environment collapses again into relative calm. The gold formed in these collisions is thrown outward at incredible speeds, mixed with other heavy elements, and scattered into surrounding space. It does not settle. It drifts. It becomes part of interstellar clouds, joining dust, gas, and fragments from earlier generations of stars. For long stretches of time, it exists without form, without location, without identity. It is not a nugget or a vein or a particle that can be pointed to. It is potential, suspended in motion. Over time, gravity gathers this material again. Clouds collapse, new stars ignite. Disks form around them, flattening into rotating planes of debris. Within these disks, planets begin to assemble. Gold becomes part of this process, incorporated into rocks, mixed into molten material, carried inward and outward by heat and movement. By the time the Earth begins to form, gold has already survived multiple cycles of destruction and rebirth. The early Earth is not solid. It is a glowing, molten body, constantly reshaped by impacts and internal heat. In this state, elements separate by density. Heavy materials sink. Iron flows inward, dragging other dense elements with it. Gold follows this movement. Much of Earth's gold disappears into the core during these early stages, locked away under immense pressure, unreachable by any surface process. What remains near the surface is only what escaped this inward pull or arrived later. Later arrival matters. After Earth's initial formation, it continues to be struck by asteroids and smaller planetary bodies. These impacts deliver additional material, including metals that were not present in the same proportions during the planet's differentiation. Some of the gold accessible today likely comes from these later additions, scattered across the crust by repeated collisions. Even then, gold remains sparse. It does not spread evenly. It does not coat the surface. It hides. As the planet cools, its surface hardens. Tectonic plates form and shift. Mountains rise and erode. Water begins its long work, moving across rock, carving channels, dissolving minerals, and carrying particles away. Gold resists this process. It does not dissolve easily. It does not react with water or oxygen. When rock breaks down, gold remains intact, separating from lighter material by its weight alone. This resistance gives gold its peculiar visibility. In riverbeds, where flowing water slows and turns, heavier particles settle. Gold collects quietly in these places, not because it is abundant, but because it stays while everything else moves on. Over centuries, tiny amounts accumulate. Over millennia, they become detectable. A single bend in a river can hold gold that has traveled for thousands of years, washed free from its original source and concentrated by nothing more than gravity and patience. Deep underground, gold takes a different path. Heated fluids move through fractures in the Earth's crust, dissolving minerals under pressure. As these fluids cool, they deposit what they carried, forming veins within solid rock. Throughout all of this, gold remains chemically unchanged. Its atoms do not break apart. They do not combine easily with others. They do not decay. This stability is not common among elements of similar weight. Gold's electron structure makes it unusually resistant to corrosion and reaction. It does not tarnish in air. It does not rust. It survives environments that destroy other materials completely. Long after surrounding rock has crumbled into dust, gold remains recognizable. Because of this, gold becomes a kind of geological memory. It marks places where conditions once aligned in specific ways. A gold deposit is not just a location. It is the outcome of countless small events: pressure shifts, fluid movements, erosion cycles, temperature changes. Each deposit is unique, shaped by a local history that stretches back millions of years. Gold does not appear everywhere because the conditions that allow it to concentrate are narrow and rare. Even where it exists, gold is scarce. All the gold ever mined by humans would fit into a relatively small volume compared to the scale of the planet. And this represents only a fraction of what lies beneath the surface, and an even smaller fraction of what the Earth contains as a whole. Gold's rarity is not a mystery of distribution, but a consequence of its origin. The universe does not produce it easily, and planets do not keep it near their surfaces willingly. Before any human notices gold, it exists in silence. No light is reflected intentionally. No meaning is attached. Gold does not announce itself through color or motion. Often, it is invisible, embedded within other materials, requiring separation before it can be recognized. Its presence is passive. It waits to be uncovered by processes that have nothing to do with intention. The timescales involved here resist easy imagination. Gold atoms formed billions of years ago, drifted through space longer than Earth has existed, survived planetary formation, sank into molten interiors, resurfaced through erosion, and remained intact through every stage. When gold is found near the surface, it is not new. It is exposed. It has arrived at visibility by chance, not design. Seen this way, gold is less an object than a survivor. It has endured environments that erased countless other forms. It carries no record of this endurance in appearance alone. There are no marks, no scars. Its structure remains as it was at formation. This permanence is not traumatic. It does not draw attention. It simply persists. Before gold becomes a material people seek, shape, or protect, it exists as part of a much larger story, one that does not revolve around use or value. It belongs to astrophysics and geology, to the movement of matter across scales that dwarf human experience. Its presence on Earth is a consequence of layered events, each dependent on the one before, none concerned with future meaning. In this first chapter of its existence, gold has no role to play. It is not wealth. It is not beauty. It is not power. It is matter that has reached a stable state, content to remain unchanged while everything around it transforms. It rests in stone, in sediment, in darkness, indifferent to whether it will ever be touched. Only later will gold enter human awareness. Only later will its physical properties intersect with perception, symbolism, and desire. For now, it remains where it has always been, quiet, ancient, and complete, carrying within it the memory of a universe that does not remember us at all. Gold's physical story begins at a scale far smaller than rivers or rocks. It begins inside the atom, where balance is achieved in a way that few elements manage. Gold carries 79 protons in its nucleus, surrounded by electrons arranged in layers that are unusually stable. This arrangement is not dramatic to look at, but it is precise. The outer electrons of gold move at speeds where relativistic effects begin to matter, subtly altering how they interact with light and energy. This small adjustment, invisible on its own, changes everything that follows. Most metals appear silver or gray because they reflect light evenly across the visible spectrum. Gold does not. It absorbs more blue light than other metals, reflecting warmer wavelengths back to the eye. This is why gold looks gold. Not painted, not symbolic, but physically different at the level of electron behavior. The color is not applied. It emerges naturally from how light meets matter. Among elements used by humans, this is rare. Very few metals carry a color that is intrinsic rather than the result of surface reactions. This same electron structure gives gold another quiet advantage: chemical calm. Gold does not react easily with oxygen. It does not form an oxide layer when exposed to air. While iron slowly transforms into rust and copper darkens with time, gold remains unchanged. A gold surface today is the same surface it was decades or centuries ago, unless it is physically altered. This resistance is not a coating or a treatment. It is built into the element itself. Because of this, gold does not corrode. It does not flake or weaken due to environmental exposure. Even in damp, salty, or polluted air, gold stays intact. This quality has made it reliable long before anyone understood chemistry. Objects made of gold did not fail in the ways others did. They endured simply by refusing to participate in most chemical reactions happening around them. Gold's resistance extends to acids as well. Most acids that dissolve metals leave gold untouched. Nitric acid, sulfuric acid, and hydrochloric acid alone cannot break it down. Only a specific mixture, aquaresia, combining nitric and hydrochloric acids, can dissolve gold by producing reactive species capable of disrupting its atomic stability. This is not a common condition in nature. As a result, gold often survives where other materials vanish completely. This chemical indifference explains why gold is sometimes found in pure form. Many metals exist only as compounds, bound tightly to other elements within ores. Gold, however, can appear as native metal, separated, intact, and recognizable. Nuggets, flakes, and fine grains form without needing to be chemically freed. Nature does not need to refine gold for it to exist on its own. It arrives already complete. Gold is also unusually cooperative when shaped. It is soft compared to most metals, not weak, but willing. Its atoms slide past one another without breaking bonds, allowing it to be hammered into extremely thin sheets. A single gram of gold can be spread into a layer several square meters wide. This malleability is not common. It reflects strong internal cohesion, combined with flexibility, a balance that allows gold to change shape quietly without losing integrity. In electrical terms, Gold conducts efficiently and predictably. While silver conducts electricity slightly better, it tarnishes. Copper conducts well, but oxidizes. Gold conducts consistently because its surface remains clean. Electrons move without interruption across gold contacts, unaffected by corrosion or surface decay. This reliability matters in environments where failure is not visible until it happens, where stability over time is more important than peak performance. Taken together, these traits form a profile that is internally consistent. Gold does not excel in one dramatic way. It performs steadily across many dimensions. It resists change, carries color without alteration, conducts without decay, and exists without needing protection. These are not qualities designed for attention. They are qualities that reveal themselves slowly, through use, through time, through repetition. By the time gold appears to human senses as something distinct, its behavior has already been decided at the atomic level. Nothing about its stability, color, or resistance is accidental. These properties do not adapt to purpose. They precede it. Gold is not versatile because it was chosen. It was chosen because, long before anyone noticed, it had already settled into a form that does not ask to be improved. Gold enters human awareness without announcement. There is no moment of discovery it can be pointed to. No first sentence spoken, no clear boundary between not noticing and noticing. For most early humans, gold does not arrive as an object to be named, but as something that interrupts attention. It does not behave like stone or bone or wood. It does not look useful. It does not solve a problem. It simply remains visible in places where visibility is rare. In landscapes shaped by repetition, gold stands apart through stillness. Riverbeds change daily. Light shifts constantly. Animal movement redraws the same paths again and again. Gold does not move with this rhythm. When early humans encounter it, often in the form of small flakes or irregular pieces resting among darker sediments, it resists the logic of its surroundings. Everything else blends. Gold holds. This difference does not require explanation to be felt. Long before abstract thought or classification, human perception is tuned to contrast. Brightness against dullness. Weight against lightness. Warm color against cold stone. Gold gathers attention because it violates expectation without threatening it. It does not cut, sting, or decay. It sits. In the Stone Age, tools are shaped by necessity. Sharp edges matter. Hardness matters. Durability matters. Gold offers none of these advantages. It is too soft to cut efficiently, too malleable to hold an edge, too rare to be relied upon. It does not compete with flint, obsidian, or bone. As a result, it is not tested in the same way. It is not struck repeatedly, not discarded quickly. It remains intact because no one tries to force it into function. This lack of utility becomes its defining feature. Gold is not handled as material. It is handled as presence. Its surface reflects light differently, not sharply like quartz, but softly, with warmth. In low sunlight or firelight, gold responds in ways stone does not. It does not sparkle aggressively. It glows quietly, holding light rather than scattering it. This behavior slows attention. Eyes return to it without urgency. Weight plays a role as well. When lifted, gold feels heavier than it appears. Small pieces resist motion. This resistance registers in the body before it reaches thought. Early humans may not name density, but they feel it. Gold presses downward in the hand, anchoring itself. This physical sensation reinforces its difference. It is not hollow. It is not fragile. It feels finished. Across early settlements, gold is encountered sporadically. It does not form layers. It does not appear in large quantities. It arrives alone or in small groups, separated by long stretches of ordinary material. This rarity does not create desire yet. It creates memory. Gold becomes something that is remembered as having been seen before, even if only briefly. It marks locations not through abundance, but through recognition. One of the earliest places where this recognition becomes visible is the Varna necropolis, near the western coast of the Black Sea, dated to around 4500 BCE here. Among graves containing stone tools and pottery, gold appears in forms that suggest careful placement rather than casual inclusion. Small beads, ornaments, and objects made of gold are arranged near bodies, not because they serve a practical function, but because they belong there. Their presence indicates awareness. Someone noticed gold. Someone decided it should remain. These objects are not standardized. They do not follow a uniform design language. This suggests experimentation rather than tradition. Gold is being tested, not for strength or efficiency, but for meaning. It is being positioned near the body, close to identity, without a clear explanation of why. The people placing it do not yet treat gold as wealth. They treat it as something that belongs in moments that matter. In early Mesopotamia, small gold ornaments appear alongside shell, lapis lazuli, and other materials valued for appearance rather than function. These objects are often simple in form: beads, thin sheets, small decorative elements. Gold is not dominating these compositions. It is participating. Its role is subtle, contributing warmth and contrast without overwhelming the whole. This suggests that gold's early appeal is relational. It does not replace other materials. It interacts with them. Against dark stones, it brightens. Against bone, it softens. Against clay, it stabilizes. Gold adapts visually without changing itself. This flexibility makes it suitable for early adornment, not because it signals power, but because it complements presence. Along the Nile, early gold finds appear in river sediments and shallow deposits. Here, gold's behavior in water becomes part of its identity. As floods reshape the landscape annually, lighter materials wash away. Gold remains. It is found where water has already sorted the ground. This gives it a quiet authority. It appears in places shaped by natural order, not random chance. Early inhabitants of these regions would encounter gold not through mining, but through walking. It would be seen while gathering, while fishing, while moving along familiar routes. Its discovery is accidental, not sought. This matters. Gold is not pursued. It is noticed. The difference between these two experiences shapes how it is understood. When something is pursued, it is evaluated. When something is noticed, it is accepted. Early humans do not immediately assign gold a role. They allow it to exist within their environment as a distinct element. It becomes part of the mental landscape, stored alongside other anomalies. Unusual stones, rare shells, distinctive animal remains. Gold joins a category of things that are not necessary, but not ignored. The act of keeping gold is not hoarding. It is holding. Gold does not yet represent accumulation. It represents continuity. A gold object seen once can be seen again years later without change. This stability contrasts with a world defined by seasonal cycles and material decay. In this sense, gold becomes an early reference point for permanence, not abstractly, but experientially. Firelight amplifies this effect. In enclosed spaces, gold reflects warm light gently, creating movement without flicker. It does not cast sharp reflections. It responds slowly. This makes it compatible with quiet settings, with gatherings, with moments of stillness. Gold does not compete for attention. It sustains it. Importantly, gold is not yet separated from nature. It is not refined, melted, or standardized in these early encounters. It remains irregular. Its shapes are those given by geological processes. This reinforces its status as something found, not made. Humans interact with it cautiously, shaping it minimally, if at all. The absence of tools designed specifically for gold in this period supports this interpretation. There is no evidence of early mining or extraction. Gold is not taken from the earth aggressively. It is collected when encountered. This passive relationship persists for a long time. Gold waits for humans to catch up to it. In early burial contexts, gold appears with restraint. It is placed carefully near the head, chest, or hands, not scattered or displayed in excess. These positions suggest attention to the person rather than to tools, territory, or function. Gold stays close to the body, becoming part of how an individual is held in memory. Its role is not practical and not yet symbolic in a formal sense. It simply belongs where identity and presence are being quietly acknowledged. At this stage, gold does not organize society or signal power as it will later. There are no fixed meanings, no myths, no systems built around it. Humans respond to gold through experience rather than interpretation, noticing its durability, its weight, its persistence. Gold becomes familiar without becoming ordinary, associated with moments that slow time, transitions, stillness, remembrance. It is not yet valuable, but it is already distinct, resting calmly in awareness, waiting without urgency for meanings that have not yet formed. Gold's symbolic life begins before systems of power are fully formed. It does not arrive as currency or command. It enters quietly, attached to moments that already carry weight. Early societies do not use gold to control others, but to mark transitions that feel larger than daily life. Its presence gathers attention not through force, but through stillness. In rituals, gold appears where language falls short. It is placed where gestures replace explanation, where repetition gives structure to uncertainty. A small amount is enough. Gold does not need to dominate the scene to be effective. Its resistance to decay gives it a role in moments meant to outlast the present, aligning it naturally with ceremonies that address continuity rather than outcome. Status begins to form around these uses, but indirectly. Gold marks individuals not because they command resources, but because they occupy roles that matter symbolically. Its presence suggests recognition rather than dominance. Gold does not yet rank people. It distinguishes moments, and through them, the people involved. In ancient Egypt, this distinction deepens into theology. Gold is understood as incorruptible, aligned with the eternal nature of the gods. It is described as the flesh of the gods, not metaphorically, but materially. Its refusal to decay mirrors divine permanence, making it suitable for sacred objects and royal remains without needing further justification. Temple spaces reflect this logic with particular clarity. In Mesopotamia, gold appears in architectural details and ritual objects not as an expression of wealth, but as a material boundary. It separates ordinary space from sacred space without words or barriers. A surface touched with gold quietly alters how a place is perceived. Movement slows, attention narrows. Gold marks thresholds where behavior is expected to change, where presence becomes deliberate, and where the everyday rhythm of life is momentarily suspended. Royal tombs extend this symbolism into lineage and memory. Gold accompanies rulers not simply to honor them, but to stabilize their presence across time. Organic materials decay, wood darkens, cloth dissolves, but gold remains visually and materially intact. Its durability allows identity to persist in physical form long after the body has disappeared. In these settings, gold does not declare authority or demand recognition. It records continuity, holding the idea of rulership steady without argument, noise, or excess. Gold has become a symbol without becoming abstract. Its meaning is not debated, written, or systematized. It is learned through repetition and placement, through seeing it appear again and again in moments set apart from ordinary life. Across rituals, burials, and sacred spaces, gold settles into a quiet role shaped by use rather than decree, aligning itself with what is meant to endure long before it is linked to power, accumulation, or exchange. Before gold becomes a unit of value, exchange relies on direct usefulness. Grain is traded for tools, animals for labor, raw materials for protection. These systems work only while participants can easily judge equivalence. As trade networks stretch outward and encounters involve strangers rather than neighbors, the limits of this system become visible. Goods vary in quality, spoil with time, or resist precise comparison. Something more stable is needed, something that can stand still while everything else moves. Gold enters this space not because it is beautiful, but because it is consistent. Its weight can be felt and compared. Its appearance does not change from one season to the next. A piece of gold today looks the same tomorrow. This reliability allows it to function as a reference point. Gold does not replace goods immediately. It sits beside them, quietly absorbing trust as other forms of exchange struggle to maintain it. The idea of measure grows out of this need. Weight becomes more important than shape. Small differences begin to matter. Balance scales appear, not as symbols of justice, but as practical tools for comparison. Gold's density makes it especially suited to this process. A small amount carries significant weight, allowing value to be concentrated rather than spread across bulk. This concentration simplifies exchange, making transport and storage easier as trade distances increase. Gold is not yet standardized. Pieces vary in size and purity, and they are weighed each time they are exchanged. This slows transactions, but it also builds precision. Through repetition, shared expectations begin to form. People learn how gold should feel in the hand, how it should look when pure, how it should behave under pressure. Trust shifts gradually from the person offering the gold to the gold itself. Standardization emerges as a response to repetition. When the same exchanges occur again and again, variability becomes friction. Societies begin marking gold to signal weight and purity in advance. These marks do not create value. They announce consistency. A stamped piece of gold saves time. It allows exchange to proceed without renegotiation at every step. This is not about authority yet. It is about efficiency. One of the earliest known examples of this shift appears in Lydia around the 7th century BCE. Here, gold is mixed with silver to form electrum and stamped into standardized pieces. These early coins do not depict elaborate scenes. Their designs are simple, functional, meant to identify origin rather than inspire awe. What matters is not the image, but the agreement it represents. With these coins, gold changes role. It no longer needs to be weighed each time. Its value is carried visibly on its surface. This allows transactions to speed up and expand. Markets grow more fluid. Trade becomes less personal and more systemic. Gold begins to move independently of the people who carry it, circulating through hands that do not know one another. As coinage spreads, gold becomes portable trust. It can cross borders where language and custom differ. Along expanding trade routes, gold links regions that share little else. Merchants traveling long distances rely on gold because it is recognized across cultures. Its material properties make it difficult to counterfeit, and its rarity limits uncontrolled supply. These features reinforce its role without needing constant enforcement. Trade routes amplify this effect. As goods move between regions, gold moves with them, acting as intermediary rather than destination. Spices, textiles, metals, and grain pass through hands, while gold accumulates agreement. It becomes the quiet constant in transactions defined by difference. In this way, gold shapes trade not by dominating it, but by stabilizing it. Over time, authority begins to attach itself to this system. States recognize that controlling coinage allows control over exchange. By issuing standardized gold coins, rulers influence markets without direct intervention. Coinage becomes a tool of governance, not through force, but through structure. Taxes, wages, and tributes can now be measured rather than negotiated anew each time. This shift alters the relationship between gold and power. Gold does not create authority, but it supports it. A ruler who controls the mint controls the measure. The metal itself remains passive. It is the system around it that grows complex. Gold becomes embedded in administration, law, and long-distance planning. Importantly, this process does not erase earlier meanings of gold. Symbolic associations persist, layered beneath economic function. Gold still carries ritual weight, even as it circulates as measure. These layers coexist without conflict. Gold does not need to choose between roles. Its stability allows it to absorb multiple functions simultaneously. As official gold coinage spreads beyond its points of origin, imitation follows. Regions without natural gold sources adopt similar standards, importing gold or creating alloys to participate in the system. This reinforces gold's position as reference rather than commodity. Its value lies not only in possession, but in recognition. A gold coin works because others agree that it works. This agreement extends across generations. Gold coins outlast the rulers who issue them. Their markings fade, but their weight remains. Even when political systems collapse, gold retains its function. People may no longer trust institutions, but they continue to trust the metal. This endurance deepens gold's association with stability in uncertain times. By becoming a measure, gold changes how people think about value itself. Worth becomes abstractable. It can be stored, transported, divided, and accumulated. This abstraction allows economies to grow beyond immediate needs. It also introduces new forms of control. Those who manage gold flows influence systems far larger than themselves. Yet gold itself remains unchanged. It does not demand this role. It does not enforce rules. It simply behaves the same way it always has, responding predictably to weight, pressure, and time. Human systems grow around it, leaning on its consistency to support increasingly complex structures. Gold's growing importance does not come from spectacle or persuasion, but from dependability. As exchanges repeat and distances widen, gold proves itself through sameness. Its weight can be trusted, its form recognized, its presence accepted without explanation. In markets and along trade routes, gold becomes the material people return to when other measures fail. It does not demand confidence. It earns it through consistency, one transaction at a time. As this trust settles in, gold begins to gather quietly. It accumulates not only in individual hands, but in shared spaces, storehouses, and early treasuries. What was once carried and exchanged now starts to be kept and counted. Control over gold slowly becomes control over movement, obligation, and planning. Without changing its nature, gold invites new structures to form around it, preparing the ground for larger systems of power that will soon rely on its presence. Gold's relationship with power changes quietly once accumulation becomes possible. When gold is no longer moving constantly through exchange, it begins to rest. It gathers behind walls, beneath stone floors, inside guarded rooms designed not for trade, but for permanence. These spaces are not marketplaces. They are treasuries, and their existence signals a shift. Gold is no longer only a tool for exchange. It becomes something to be held, counted, and protected. Empires understand this early. In the Ramang Empire, gold flows inward from conquest, taxation, and trade, concentrating at the center of administration. Treasuries serve both practical and psychological functions. They fund armies, pay officials, and stabilize supply, but they also project authority. The existence of stored gold reassures subjects and intimidates rivals, even when the metal itself remains unseen. Roman gold is carefully managed. Coinage systems are maintained, weights monitored, and purity regulated. Gold circulates, but not freely. Its movement reflects political decisions, rather than personal need. By controlling minting and storage, the empire shapes economic behavior across vast territories. Gold does not rule Rome. Rome rules gold, at least in appearance. As empires expand, gold becomes a measure of endurance. Armies march far from their origins, and gold follows them, supporting logistics and loyalty. Soldiers are paid in coin, contracts are honored in metal, and distant provinces remain connected through shared standards. Gold bridges geography where language and custom diverge. Its reliability becomes an administrative asset. After Rome's decline, gold does not disappear. It changes context. In medieval Europe, political fragmentation reshapes how gold functions, but not its importance. Gold coins re-emerge as symbols of stability in a landscape marked by shifting borders and local authority. Rulers issue gold currency to assert legitimacy, signaling continuity even when power is fragile. During this period, gold coinage gains renewed significance. Systems of weight and purity are refined. Merchants learn to recognize coins from distant regions, trusting their content over their origin. Gold allows trade to persist across divided territories, enabling long-distance exchange in a world without unified governance. It becomes a shared language spoken quietly across borders. Treasuries grow more formal. Gold is stored not just as wealth, but as reassurance. Rulers and city-states measure their security by the metal they can access in moments of strain. Famine, war, or political unrest are met first by counting reserves. Gold becomes a buffer against uncertainty, a material response to future risk. Over time, this logic extends beyond individual rulers. States begin to think in terms of reserves rather than holdings. Gold is no longer simply owned, it is reserved. This distinction matters. Reserve gold is not meant for immediate use. It exists to stabilize systems, to be present even when untouched. Its value lies partly in not moving. From this idea, the concept of a gold-backed system emerges. Gold becomes the foundation beneath currency, rather than the currency itself. Paper and credit instruments gain acceptance because gold waits behind them, silent and reassuring. Trust shifts again, this time from metal in hand to metal held elsewhere, guarded and counted. The gold standard formalizes this relationship. Currency is defined by its relationship to a fixed amount of gold, creating a sense of order and predictability. Economies expand under this structure, relying on gold's perceived permanence to anchor increasingly abstract financial systems. Gold itself remains unchanged, but its role becomes deeply embedded in global planning. In the early 20th century, the structure built around gold begins to show tension. Industrial production accelerates, populations grow, and economies move faster than metal can circulate. Large-scale wars demand rapid financing, immediate liquidity, and expansive credit, none of which align easily with a system tied to fixed reserves. Gold does not fail, but it slows response. Governments find themselves constrained by what they physically hold rather than what circumstances require. As economic crises deepen, gold convertibility becomes increasingly difficult to maintain. Banking systems strain under withdrawals, and the promise to exchange currency for gold becomes a liability rather than a guarantee. One by one, nations suspend this link, not as a dismissal of gold's reliability, but as a practical decision under pressure. The metal remains trusted, but the system built around it proves too rigid for an era defined by speed and scale. When formal ties to gold are loosened, its role shifts rather than disappears. Gold moves from circulation into reserve, from daily mechanism into background assurance. Central banks continue to hold it, not to facilitate exchange, but to stabilize perception. Even without convertibility, gold retains psychological weight. Its presence signals restraint, continuity, and an underlying limit in systems that otherwise expand freely. In this new position, gold exists slightly apart from authority. It no longer defines currency, but it shadows it. During moments of uncertainty, markets return their attention to gold, measuring confidence against its steadiness. Gold remains unchanged, neither arguing for relevance nor resisting adaptation. It waits quietly within vaults and balance sheets, continuing to represent permanence in a world that increasingly depends on movement rather than weight. Gold's life in human hands begins not with invention, but with listening. Unlike stone or iron, gold does not resist shaping in the same way. It responds. Early craftspeople discover this not through theory, but through touch. When struck, gold does not splinter or crack, it spreads. Each blow changes it without breaking it, allowing intention to travel through the material gradually. Mastery begins here, in the realization that force does not need to be excessive to be effective. Hammering becomes one of the earliest techniques used to shape gold. With repeated, controlled strikes, gold thins evenly, its internal bonds holding together even as its surface expands. This behavior is unusual. Most metals harden or fracture under such treatment. Gold remains cohesive. Over time, artisans learn that patience matters more than strength. Slow rhythm produces better results than urgency. Craft develops as a dialogue rather than a command. From this practice emerges gold leaf. Sheets of gold are hammered so thin they become almost weightless, able to move with air currents, sensitive to breath. Producing gold leaf requires precision and calm. The metal must be annealed, rested, struck again, and rested once more. Each stage respects the material's limits. The process is repetitive, but never mechanical. Attention cannot drift. Gold records every mistake. Gold leaf transforms how gold is used. It allows the metal to cover surfaces far larger than its mass would suggest. Walls, panels, manuscripts, and objects can be touched with gold without being overwhelmed by it. This efficiency reshapes artistic possibility. Gold no longer needs to exist as solid form. It becomes surface, skin, presence rather than structure. In sacred art, this quality proves essential. In Byzantine Empire iconography, gold leaf is applied to backgrounds rather than figures. It does not describe bodies or landscapes. It removes them from ordinary space. Gold backgrounds do not depict light. They replace it. The absence of shadow eliminates time of day, weather, and depth. Figures exist in an eternal present, supported by gold that does not age. The technique behind these icons is exacting. Gold leaf is laid onto prepared surfaces using adhesives derived from natural materials, often applied in conditions where humidity and temperature must be controlled. Once placed, the leaf is gently burnished, smoothing it without tearing. The result is not shine, but steadiness. Light reflects evenly, without glare, creating a calm visual field that holds attention without agitation. A similar discipline appears in medieval illuminated manuscripts. Here, gold leaf is used sparingly, often outlining letters, framing images, or marking moments of transition within the text. Gold does not dominate the page, it punctuates it. Its presence signals importance without explanation, guiding the reader's eye while maintaining balance. The surrounding pigments absorb light. Gold reflects it softly, creating contrast without tension. The labor involved in these manuscripts is extensive. Each page represents hours of preparation before gold is ever applied. Surfaces are smoothed, designs planned, spaces reserved. Gold is added late in the process, when everything else is ready. This sequencing matters. Gold cannot be corrected easily once placed. Its inclusion is deliberate, the result of confidence rather than experimentation. Beyond flat surfaces, gold is used in fine plating techniques. Thin layers are bonded to other metals or materials, creating objects that combine strength with visual calm. This requires precise temperature control and careful preparation of surfaces. Too much heat damages the gold. Too little prevents adhesion. Craftsmanship here is measured in restraint. These techniques spread slowly across regions, adapting to local materials and traditions. What remains consistent is the relationship between gold and skill. Gold reveals craftsmanship rather than concealing it. Errors remain visible. Uneven application cannot be hidden. This honesty elevates the role of the artisan. Working with gold becomes a mark of discipline rather than luxury. Importantly, gold does not overwhelm other materials when used well. Wood, parchment, stone, and pigment remain present. Gold interacts rather than replaces. This interaction creates harmony rather than dominance. The most respected works are those where gold feels inevitable, not excessive. Training in gold work emphasizes control of breath and posture as much as technique. Fine movements matter. Distraction shows. Gold responds immediately to changes in pressure and angle. This sensitivity encourages a slower pace. Over time, gold shaping becomes meditative. The process teaches patience through necessity. In workshops, gold is often handled communally. Knowledge is passed through observation rather than instruction. Techniques are learned by watching hands move, by listening to rhythm, by noticing how light changes on the surface as work progresses. This embodied knowledge resists codification. It survives through practice. Gold softness also allows for repair. Damaged gold leaf can be replaced. Worn surfaces can be refreshed. This renewability contributes to gold's longevity in art. Objects can be maintained across centuries without losing identity. Gold does not need to be remade entirely. It can be cared for. Across cultures, similar patterns emerge. Wherever gold is worked seriously, excess is avoided. The material itself discourages haste. Its cost reinforces care, but its behavior enforces it. Gold invites a particular kind of attention, one that values continuity over novelty. The visual result of this mastery is subtle. Gold surfaces rarely shout. They hold light gently, reducing contrast rather than increasing it. This effect is calming. Eyes linger without strain. Gold does not demand focus. It sustains it. This quality makes it especially suited to environments meant for contemplation. By the time gold is fully integrated into artistic and craft traditions, it has shaped those traditions in return. Methods adjust to its properties. Aesthetics evolve around its behavior. Gold becomes less a material choice than a discipline, one that rewards patience, precision, and respect. What emerges is not just objects made of gold, but a way of working defined by gold. Skill is measured not by complexity, but by restraint. Mastery shows in surfaces that appear effortless, even though they result from long attention. Gold teaches this lesson quietly, through every strike and placement. This relationship persists across centuries, because gold does not change. Techniques developed long ago remain relevant because the material remains the same. A gold leaf applied today behaves as it did 1,000 years ago. This continuity allows knowledge to travel across time, connecting artisans who never meet but share the same material language. By mastering gold, humans do not dominate it. They align with it. Craft becomes an act of cooperation, shaped by listening as much as by action. Gold remains itself, and in doing so, shapes the hands that work it, guiding art toward quiet precision rather than display. In this way, gold's role in craft and art is not about spectacle or accumulation. It is about discipline, sensitivity, and long attention. Gold rewards those who slow down, offering surfaces that endure without aging, forms that hold light without noise, and objects that carry skill forward without explanation. Gold changes the way light behaves, and in doing so, it changes how spaces are felt. Unlike polished stone or glass, gold does not scatter light sharply. It receives light and returns it softly, without glare. The surface seems to glow rather than shine, creating a visual field that feels stable and calm. This interaction does not compete with the eye. It invites it to rest. This quality explains why gold rarely feels harsh, even when used extensively. Bright materials often demand attention through contrast, forcing the eye to adjust repeatedly. Gold avoids this strain. Its reflections remain warm and even, reducing visual tension. In long viewing, this matters. Gold supports sustained attention without fatigue, which is why it settles naturally into environments meant for contemplation. Because gold resists shadow, it alters spatial perception. Light does not appear to come from a single direction when it meets gold. Instead, it seems dispersed, almost ambient. This makes surfaces feel less material and more atmospheric. Walls appear deeper. Objects feel less anchored to time of day. Gold subtly removes the sense of moment, replacing it with continuity. This effect contributes to gold's association with the sacred. Sacred spaces often aim to suspend ordinary experience, to create distance from daily rhythms. Gold assists this without narrative or instruction. Its surface does not depict scenes or events. It establishes mood. The mind registers separation before it understands why. Formality arises from the same behavior. In ceremonial settings, gold signals order and permanence. Its presence suggests that what is happening follows established patterns, not improvisation. Gold does not feel casual. It feels intentional. This perception is not learned through explanation, but through repeated exposure across cultures and eras. In religious architecture, gold appears where attention is meant to gather quietly. Domes, altars, and details catch light gently, guiding the eye upward or inward without force. Gold does not dominate these spaces. It supports them. The material reinforces stillness rather than excitement, encouraging observation over reaction. This restraint distinguishes gold from materials associated with display. It does not overwhelm color or form. Instead, it frames them. Painters and architects learn to use gold sparingly, allowing it to stabilize compositions rather than animate them. The result is balance rather than spectacle. In the work of Gustav Klimt, gold takes on a modern role while retaining its perceptual power. During his gold period, gold leaf is integrated into paintings not to represent wealth, but to alter spatial logic. Figures exist within fields that feel timeless, suspended between surface and depth. Gold does not decorate these works. It restructures them. Klimt's use of gold draws attention without urgency. The eye moves slowly across the surface, guided by pattern rather than narrative. Gold flattens space while enriching it, creating a tension that remains calm. This approach echoes older traditions while speaking in a contemporary visual language, demonstrating how gold's perceptual effects persist beyond religious context. What emerges from these uses is a sense of quiet grandeur. Gold does not need scale to feel significant. Even small applications carry weight. This is the essence of silent magnificence. Gold suggests importance without insisting on it, allowing meaning to settle rather than announce itself. Across art and architecture, this perceptual role remains consistent. Gold influences how light settles within a space, softening contrasts and reducing visual urgency. Surfaces touched by gold feel less reactive to changing conditions, as if they absorb fluctuation rather than amplify it. This steadiness allows the surrounding forms to breathe, giving shape and color room to exist without competition. Because of this, gold changes how space is felt rather than how it is seen. Rooms appear calmer, deeper, and more deliberate. Attention slows naturally, guided not by contrast, but by continuity. Gold does not pull the gaze abruptly. It holds it gently, encouraging lingering rather than inspection. The eye remains engaged without effort, supported rather than stimulated. This is why gold does not need spectacle to communicate importance. Its effect is immediate, but never aggressive, enduring without becoming heavy. Gold does not shine to impress or to demand admiration. It steadies perception, creating an atmosphere where presence feels settled and complete, and where beauty arrives quietly, without asking to be noticed. Gold's presence in the modern world is rarely noticed, yet it is almost everywhere. It no longer sits openly on surfaces meant to be admired. Instead, it moves inward, becoming part of systems that are designed to disappear behind function. Gold does not announce itself in contemporary technology. It works quietly, embedded deep within structures that depend on reliability rather than visibility. In electronic systems, gold is chosen not for tradition or symbolism, but for predictability. Electrical signals require stable paths. They must travel quickly, accurately, and without interruption. Gold provides this consistency because its surface does not degrade. Unlike many conductive metals, gold does not oxidize when exposed to air. Its contacts remain clean over time, allowing electrons to move freely without resistance caused by corrosion or contamination. This stability becomes critical as electronic components shrink. In microchips, distances are measured in nanometers. At this scale, even minor surface changes can disrupt performance. Gold's atomic behavior offers assurance. Connections made with gold remain intact across years of use, temperature variation, and environmental stress. This reliability allows devices to function far beyond the moment they are assembled. Inside a microchip, gold appears as fine wires, thin layers, or microscopic contact points. These elements are not decorative. They exist to connect, to transfer signals between components without loss. Gold's softness allows it to form precise bonds during manufacturing, adapting to tiny imperfections without breaking. Once in place, it holds those connections steady. Data transmission depends on this steadiness. Information moves as electrical impulses, switching states millions of times per second. Gold ensures that these transitions remain accurate. Inconsistent materials introduce noise, distortion, or delay. Gold reduces these risks by remaining neutral, offering a predictable surface that does not interfere with signal integrity. Modern devices rely on this behavior continuously. Smartphones, for example, contain small but essential amounts of gold within their processors, connectors, and circuit boards. Each touch, each message, each calculation passes through paths where gold ensures continuity. The user never sees it. The device never advertises it. Yet without it, performance would degrade quickly. As devices become more compact, gold's role becomes more concentrated. A single smartphone contains only a fraction of a gram, but that fraction is placed precisely where failure cannot be tolerated. Gold does not spread evenly. It is reserved for critical points where consistency matters more than quantity. Beyond personal electronics, gold's reliability becomes even more valuable. In space technology, repair is impossible. Components must function flawlessly from the moment they are activated. Gold's resistance to corrosion, radiation, and temperature extremes makes it indispensable. Surfaces coated with gold reflect heat efficiently, protecting sensitive instruments from solar radiation. Satellites use gold both internally and externally. Inside, gold ensures stable electrical connections across years of continuous operation. Outside, thin gold layers regulate temperature by reflecting infrared radiation while allowing visible light to pass. This balance helps maintain internal conditions within narrow limits, protecting delicate systems from thermal stress. In space, materials face constant exposure to vacuum, radiation, and drastic temperature shifts. Many substances degrade or become brittle. Gold remains unaffected. It does not outgas, crack, or react. This indifference to environment allows it to function as a protective layer as well as a conductor. The same qualities apply to spacecraft. Instruments designed to explore distant environments rely on gold to maintain calibration and communication. Signals sent across millions of kilometers depend on uninterrupted pathways. Gold ensures that the message leaving Earth arrives intact, and that data returning from space can be trusted. Gold's role in these systems is not about enhancement, but about prevention. It prevents failure, degradation, and uncertainty. In this sense, gold supports modern technology not by enabling new functions, but by ensuring existing ones remain dependable. It allows complexity to operate without drawing attention to itself. As data networks expand, gold remains part of the infrastructure. Servers, routers, and communication hubs use gold-plated connectors to maintain signal quality across constant use. These systems operate continuously, often without interruption for years. Gold's durability reduces maintenance needs and extends operational lifespan. The movement of information today is rapid and invisible. Data flows through cables, circuits, and processors without pause. Gold's contribution lies in its ability to remain unchanged while everything else moves. It does not speed up data. It stabilizes it. This distinction matters. In systems where reliability outweighs novelty, gold becomes essential. Manufacturing processes adapt around gold's properties. Engineers design components that rely on its behavior under pressure, heat, and current. Gold becomes part of the language of design, understood implicitly by those building systems meant to endure. Its use is deliberate, calculated, and precise. Importantly, gold does not dominate modern technology. It does not appear everywhere. It is used selectively, reserved for points where failure would cascade through the system. This restraint reflects an understanding of gold's value as a stabilizer rather than a filler. Too much gold would be unnecessary. Enough gold is critical. As devices age, gold continues to perform. While plastics degrade and solder joints weaken, gold contacts remain reliable. This longevity supports sustainability by extending the usable life of electronic equipment. Gold's durability reduces the need for replacement and repair, even as technology evolves rapidly. In this invisible role, gold aligns with modern priorities. It supports speed without demanding attention. It ensures connection without being seen. Gold does not symbolize wealth here. It symbolizes trust in materials, confidence in systems, and the quiet engineering choices that allow complex networks to function smoothly. The modern world depends on layers of abstraction. Users interact with interfaces, not circuits. Data appears instantaneously, without visible movement. Gold exists beneath these layers, anchoring them physically. It provides a material foundation for experiences that feel weightless and immediate. Even as technology advances towards smaller, faster, and more integrated forms, gold remains relevant. Its atomic stability does not age. New materials may emerge, but gold's unique combination of conductivity, resistance, and adaptability continues to meet demands that grow more exacting each year. Gold's importance is not measured by how visible it is or how much of it is used. It is measured by what does not happen. Connections do not fail. Signals do not degrade. Systems continue to function without interruption. When electronic networks operate smoothly, gold has already fulfilled its role. Its contribution is not dramatic. It is confirmed through stability, through the steady absence of error over long periods of time. Modern technology depends on layers that are meant to disappear from awareness. Users interact with screens, not circuits. Data feels instant, almost weightless. Beneath this experience, gold provides physical certainty. It anchors abstract processes to reliable material behavior, ensuring that speed does not come at the cost of accuracy. Gold does not accelerate systems. It allows them to remain trustworthy while everything else moves faster. In this way, gold has shifted away from display and symbolism toward infrastructure. It no longer sits on the surface of human attention. It supports what lies beneath it: precision, continuity, and endurance define its modern role. Gold remains unchanged while technology evolves around it, quietly sustaining the systems that shape daily life without needing to be seen, named, or acknowledged. Gold's role in medicine begins at a scale far removed from coins, ornaments, or circuitry. It moves into the microscopic, where size changes meaning. When gold is reduced to nanoparticles, measured in billionths of a meter, its behavior shifts in subtle but useful ways. At this scale, gold interacts with light, heat, and biological systems differently, opening possibilities that do not exist in bulk form. In cancer research, gold nanoparticles are explored as tools for targeted treatment. Their surfaces can be engineered to attach to specific cells, allowing them to move through the body with unusual precision. Once bound to tumor cells, these particles can interact with external energy sources such as light or radiation, converting that energy into localized heat. This approach aims to affect diseased tissue while leaving surrounding cells largely undisturbed. What makes gold suitable for this work is not aggression, but compatibility. Gold is chemically stable and largely non-reactive inside the body. It does not easily trigger immune responses, and it can be shaped and coated to behave predictably in biological environments. This reliability allows researchers to focus on control rather than containment, designing treatments that respond consistently under complex conditions. Gold's interaction with light also plays a role in medical imaging. At the nanoscale, gold can enhance contrast, making certain tissues or structures more visible under specific scanning techniques. This improves detection without increasing invasiveness. Gold does not replace imaging systems. It supports them quietly, improving clarity without introducing additional strain on the body. In dentistry, gold has a much longer history, but for similar reasons. Gold alloys have been used for fillings, crowns, and restorations because they are durable, precise, and biologically well tolerated. Gold does not corrode in the mouth, does not react with saliva, and maintains its shape under constant pressure. These qualities make it especially suited for environments that demand long-term stability. Dental gold is shaped to fit exactly, responding well to fine adjustment. Its softness allows for accurate placement, while its strength ensures longevity. Unlike materials that fracture or degrade over time, gold adapts slightly under stress, distributing pressure rather than resisting it. This reduces wear on surrounding structures, supporting balance rather than rigidity. Beyond established uses, gold continues to attract attention in modern scientific research. In laboratories, gold serves as a platform for experimentation, a material whose behavior is well understood and therefore dependable. Researchers use gold surfaces to anchor molecules, study interactions, and build experimental systems where variables must be carefully controlled. Nanotechnology expands these possibilities further. Gold nanoparticles can be tuned in size and shape to produce specific responses, especially in how they absorb and scatter light. These properties are explored in fields ranging from diagnostics to drug delivery. Gold does not act alone in these systems. It provides a stable framework around which more complex behaviors are organized. Biomedical research values gold for another reason as well: traceability. Gold can be tracked and measured with high precision, allowing scientists to observe how materials move through biological systems over time. This visibility supports long-term studies, helping researchers understand not only outcomes, but processes. Looking ahead, gold's role in medicine and science is unlikely to be dramatic or visible. It will not announce breakthroughs on its own. Instead, it will continue to appear where precision, stability, and trust are required. Whether in nanoscale therapies, durable medical applications, or experimental research, gold remains a material chosen not for novelty, but for its quiet ability to behave exactly as expected, even in the most delicate environments. Gold's weight is not carried only in the hand. It settles more deeply in the mind where meaning forms without instruction. Long before people learn to calculate its price, they learn to feel something about it. Gold does not ask to be understood. It produces a response quietly through repetition, memory, and contrast. When people think of gold, they do not think only of objects. They think of certainty. This certainty does not come from promise. Gold does not guarantee outcomes. It does not speak of growth or reward. Its psychological force comes from something simpler and older, the sense that it will remain. Gold suggests continuity without explanation. In a world shaped by change, decay, and replacement, this suggestion carries unusual weight. Humans are acutely aware of impermanence. Bodies age, tools wear down, structures collapse, even ideas shift with time. Gold appears different. It does not corrode, fade, or disappear under ordinary conditions. This physical stability becomes mental stability. Gold feels dependable not because it is valuable, but because it behaves predictably when so many other things do not. This predictability settles into association. Gold becomes linked with trust, not interpersonal trust, but material trust. When people doubt systems, they return to substances. When agreements feel fragile, they look for something that does not rely on consensus to exist. Gold occupies this role naturally. It does not need to be defended or explained. Its presence feels sufficient. Other metals fail to create the same effect. Iron is strong, but it rusts. Copper conducts, but it darkens and stains. Silver shines, but it tarnishes quickly. These changes are visible reminders of time passing. Gold avoids this. It resists visible aging. This resistance is subtle, but over years and generations, it shapes perception deeply. Gold's color contributes as well. It is warm without being bright, reflective without being sharp. The eye does not register urgency when looking at gold. It feels settled. This visual calm reinforces the sense of reliability. Gold does not excite the nervous system. It steadies it. Purity is another association that forms early and persists. Gold is often found in elemental form, separate from compounds. It can be refined without altering its nature. This reinforces the idea that gold is complete in itself. It does not require transformation to become recognizable. This completeness becomes symbolic even before symbolism is articulated. Because of this, gold becomes a mental anchor. When people imagine something that must be preserved, they imagine gold. When they think of something that must not fail, gold appears in thought, even if only metaphorically. This does not happen because of education. It happens because of accumulated experience. Across cultures, this pattern repeats. People who have never met, who share no language or belief system, respond similarly to gold. They associate it with reliability, seriousness, and endurance. These associations are not taught systematically. They are absorbed. Gold's psychological weight increases during uncertainty. In moments of instability, people do not turn to novelty. They turn to what feels proven. Gold reappears in attention during crisis not because it promises growth, but because it promises not to vanish. It is thought of as something that remains when other structures are questioned. This reveals an important distinction. Gold is not primarily about gain. It is about preservation. It is not imagined as a tool for becoming more, but for losing less. This orientation matters psychologically. Gold is conservative in the deepest sense. It resists loss rather than pursuing expansion. Because of this, gold becomes a reference point. When value feels abstract or inflated, gold offers something that feels grounded. It has weight. It occupies space. It can be held. This physicality counters the anxiety produced by systems that feel intangible or unstable. Gold does not need to outperform alternatives to maintain this role. It only needs to remain consistent. Its psychological strength lies in its refusal to compete. It does not change behavior to attract attention. It waits. The idea of gold as a final reference emerges quietly. When all other measures are questioned, gold remains as something that can still be pointed to. This does not mean it solves problems. It means it reduces uncertainty by existing independently of opinion. Gold does not depend on belief to exist. This independence is rare and reassuring. Trust in gold is not blind. It is built over time through observation. Gold has been tested repeatedly, not through intention, but through survival. It has outlasted empires, systems, and technologies. This longevity reinforces its mental position. Importantly, gold does not feel aggressive. It does not provoke urgency or desire in the same way as scarce resources often do. Its attraction is calm. People feel drawn to gold without feeling rushed by it. This emotional neutrality contributes to its stability in the mind. Gold also resists personalization. While it can be owned, it does not absorb identity easily. It remains itself regardless of who holds it. This quality allows it to function as a shared reference rather than a personal extension. It feels objective, even when embedded in subjective systems. This objectivity is psychological, not philosophical. People feel that gold stands apart from human behavior. It does not lie. It does not exaggerate. It simply is. This simplicity becomes powerful in a world filled with complexity. When people imagine permanence, they do not imagine activity. They imagine stillness. Gold aligns with this instinct. It does not move unless moved. It does not change unless changed intentionally. This passivity becomes a form of strength. Gold's mental presence also benefits from restraint. Because it is not everywhere, it retains significance. Overexposure would weaken its impact. Instead, gold appears selectively, reinforcing the idea that it belongs to moments that matter. This selectivity supports its association with seriousness. Gold does not feel casual. It feels deliberate. Its presence suggests that attention has been paid, that choices were made carefully. This perception persists even when gold is used subtly. Over time, gold becomes less an object than a baseline. People measure other things against it, often unconsciously. They ask whether something is solid, lasting, real. Gold sits quietly behind these questions, shaping how answers feel. The psychological comfort gold provides is not excitement or pleasure. It is reassurance. It tells the mind that something remains constant amid variation. This reassurance does not solve uncertainty, but it makes it bearable. Gold's mental weight also comes from its indifference. It does not respond emotionally to human use. It does not reflect success or failure. It remains the same whether admired or ignored. This neutrality allows people to project stability onto it without resistance. In this way, gold becomes a mirror for human longing for certainty. People see in gold what they wish to find in systems and structures: endurance without explanation. Gold offers this quietly, without claiming to provide more. This is why gold continues to matter psychologically, even when it is no longer central to daily transactions. Its role is not operational, it is referential. It exists as a point of mental return, a reminder that not everything is fragile. Gold does not eliminate anxiety, but it softens it. It suggests that some things persist regardless of human action. This suggestion is powerful precisely because it is modest. Gold does not promise safety. It promises continuity. As people move through changing environments, technologies, and values, gold remains familiar. Its appearance does not surprise, and its behavior does not challenge expectation. This familiarity creates calm. The mind does not rush around gold. It settles. Gold invites a slower form of attention, one that does not seek immediate outcome. Other materials may be more useful, more efficient, or more abundant, but gold does not compete on these terms. It occupies a different mental category. It is not optimized for speed or novelty. It is preserved. This preservation becomes meaningful without becoming abstract. People do not need to explain why gold feels reliable. They feel it. That feeling moves quietly between generations, reinforced not through instruction, but through contrast. When systems fail, gold's reputation strengthens. When change accelerates, gold feels steadier by comparison. Its psychological weight does not rise suddenly. It accumulates. Each era leaves behind another confirmation that gold remains while structures around it shift. Over time, gold no longer needs justification. Its place is assumed rather than argued. It does not sit at the center of attention, but waits at the edges, ready to be returned to when certainty is required. In the human mind, gold becomes less about possession and more about orientation. It helps locate thought within uncertainty, offering scale rather than answers. Gold does not resolve questions. It holds them, providing quiet ground on which the mind can rest, unchanged and patiently trusted as everything else continues to move. Gold does not move with history. It remains while history passes around it, layer by layer, century by century. Human systems rise, adapt, and disappear, but gold stays materially unchanged. This does not make it powerful in the way institutions are powerful. It makes it constant. Gold's presence stretches across eras without needing to respond to them. As tools evolve and ideas shift, gold does not participate in improvement. It does not become better or worse with time. A piece of gold shaped thousands of years ago behaves exactly as it does today. This sameness is not stagnation. It is continuity. Gold carries time without absorbing it. Human attention changes direction often. What once felt essential becomes obsolete, and what seemed permanent fades quietly. Gold avoids this cycle by remaining indifferent. It does not depend on relevance. It does not follow trends. It simply exists, offering the same material response regardless of the era observing it. This indifference creates a particular calm. Gold does not react to urgency. It does not speed up when the world accelerates. It does not slow down when attention drifts elsewhere. Gold holds a steady pace, allowing human experience to move freely around it without altering its nature. Because of this, gold becomes a marker of scale. It reminds human thought that not everything is shaped by immediacy. While lives unfold within decades, gold persists across millennia. It offers perspective not by instruction, but by contrast, quietly expanding the sense of time. Gold's constancy does not compete with human change. It complements it. Change requires a background that does not change. Movement becomes legible only when something remains still. Gold provides that stillness, not as opposition, but as reference. When civilizations dissolve, gold does not register loss. When new structures appear, gold does not celebrate arrival. It remains present without participation. This neutrality allows it to cross eras without conflict, carrying no allegiance and no memory of use. Over long stretches of time, this unchanging behavior reshapes how gold is perceived. It comes to represent not a belief or an idea, but a condition, the possibility that something can remain intact while meanings, systems, and interpretations shift around it. Gold does not argue for permanence or declare it openly. It simply continues to exist, allowing continuity to be observed rather than explained. As centuries pass, human attention moves on. Priorities dissolve, languages change, and frameworks are replaced. Gold does not follow these movements. It does not adapt to remain relevant, nor does it withdraw when relevance fades. Its presence stays materially consistent, offering a quiet reference point against which change becomes visible. What endures is not authority or value, but steadiness. When thought begins to slow, gold does not bring closure. It offers no final statement and no resolution. It remains where it has always been, unchanged and unresponsive, while time continues forward on its own. The facts settle, the questions lose urgency, and what lingers is not an answer, but a gentle sense of continuity, extending calmly beyond the moment and into whatever comes next.